Welcome, everybody. I'm CJ Ward to West of Tulsa. We are broadcasting from Studio 3 in Ventura, California, and we have most of the crew here. Beth is not here today, but we do have Gabe.
Yo.
We got Helm.
How you doing?
And we got Dan Brockett over there in control. I look forward every day to coming in and just saying Brockett.
It's a good feeling, right?
It's a good feeling, yeah. All right. Hey, we have a great show today. If you like Japanese cars, vintage Japanese cars, if you like Hot Wheels, Matchbox included, right? Okay. Hot Wheels and Matchbox, we have a fun hour for you coming up. Frank DeJesus joining us now. You have organized the Old Japanese Car Meet, which is in Los Angeles, right? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, well, originally it started as, just a few of us just gathering in a parking lot. But let me just kind of back up a little bit, because when my car became a classic, I felt so proud. I'm like, I finally have a classic, and I went to one of the local classic car meets or shows. This was at the Bob's Big Boy. It's right next to Burbank. So I got there, and then I kind of got some slack from, the older guys with the Chevy Novas and all the other American muscle. And they were like, hey, what are you doing parking here? This is for classics. I felt so proud. This is a classic. And some of them started looking at the car. Like, I don't see any chrome on it, so you got to park somewhere else. I was like, well, I didn't feel welcome. So I didn't give up. I kept going a couple of times. And by the third time, they were kind of giving me the stink eye because, people were crowded around my car more because they can relate to it more. I was, hey, my aunt used to have this car. I used to drive this in high school, whatever. So it had stories for me. And these guys were just kind of like giving me the stink eye, like, what's he showing over there? Like popping my hood and stuff. But it just kind of, it became more of a hostile because now they would try to block the parking before I got there. So I just got together with some of my friends who had similar cars like mine. They said, hey, you know what? Why don't we just kind of start our own thing, And we just said, oh, yeah, well, where do we meet? Let's go by the Starbucks. They're at the one located by the Burbank airport. Not the Empire Center, the one right next to the airport by the main entrance. So we say, this looks like a pretty good area to do it. And it was, well lit. And lo and behold, I didn't know that it had to be well lit throughout the hours of darkness due to it being next to an airport. That kind of uses it. I guess in case of emergency, lights go out in the runway, they can use some of the city lights next to the airport to use it as, to light up the runway.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't know this. So it was very well lit. It was only one way in, one way out. So I was like, this is perfect. So we originally started with 4 cars. It was Rick Mena, Daniel and Kimberly, and then my friend Jesse Ortiz, who's also known as the Jesse James the Picker.
Oh yeah.
He's also a barber. But we all started with kind of like 4 cars, and then from there it just kind of exploded. And we said, hey, let's meet here every once a month. That only lasted like 2 weeks.
How long ago? What year was this?
This was back in January of 2012.
Okay. Oh,
So
nice. Okay, been a while then.
So that's when it became official because, obviously before that we were kind of tinkering around with, let's meet here. And, as odd as it sounds, we're meeting up after 9, after everybody kind of settles down on a Friday night. And we just wanted to talk about cars and, ideas and stuff, some of our builds. And so that's where it kind of exploded because then, I said, hey, who are we going to invite? Oh, just, let everybody else who has these type of cars flag them down, let them know here. I made some quick business cards here, put this on the windshields, and we just kind of handed them out. And then, like I said, we decided, hey, we're going to meet here once a month. But that only lasted like 2 weeks because, the second weekend, I'm getting phone calls. Hey, Frank, where are you at? What do you mean, where am I at? It's Friday. I was like, I thought we said we were going to do this once a month. He goes, well, everybody's here, man. There's like 15 cars. Let me get over there. So I drive over there, and sure enough, 15 cars. And while I'm there, 10 more cars roll in. Next thing you know, we're doing about maybe an average of 30 to 40 cars every Friday night.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So I was like,
showing.
man, this is pretty good. So we continue to do that for about 7 years until another local group started to meet there on Wednesdays. I'm not going to mention names, but they kind of ruined it for everybody because there was, more people started to chime in. They're like, there was these off-road guys that would meet there also on a Tuesday night. So they liked the location. And so, and then these people would be going there maybe to order food from the Panda Express or there was a Greek restaurant there. I don't know if it's still there. There was a fish dish and the Starbucks, obviously. And they would come in there to buy their food or even just wait for their ride right after they got off the plane. So they literally just walk over there. And they would just stumble across it on Friday night, and they see all these rare Japanese cars that, you don't normally see on the road. And they say, well, what are you guys doing here? Well, we meet here every Friday. And is there a website? No, nope, we don't want to advertise it. This is a private group. We do have a private group through Facebook, and you have to kind of request to get in. And then my wife and I kind of, we monitor and we handpick and choose who's really the exclusive car person that has these type of cars who can be welcomed.
And no chrome, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
The chrome not allowed. Right?
No, chrome is allowed. I mean, my car that didn't have chrome and still till this day doesn't have chrome is an 80s car.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a 1985 Toyota Celica.
Yeah.
So they didn't come with any
Which
chrome
is
bumpers.
kind of lame that somebody would say that because there's plenty of old hot rods that don't have chrome,
Totally.
but whatever. I remember the first time Helm brought me over to your meet years ago, and you said something to me, and I think our listeners need to know this too, because you told me the definition of a classic car. What's vintage and what's classic. And I think most people, to be honest with you, I don't think most people know. I honestly, I didn't really know what that specifically meant until you told me that years ago. So if you can, define what is classic, what is vintage, so people have an understanding of what this actually means.
Yeah, well, for the record, I mean, I understand it may be my opinion, but in the car world, most car enthusiasts would agree with me, including even Jay Leno, because any type of car that's 25 years or older is considered a classic. And then anything over 50 years is considered a vintage. And then 75 years an antique and so forth.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of how I break it down to people because I don't even know, I don't have a classic. I go, no, you do.
Yeah.
Your car is over 25 years old. It's considered a classic.
Yeah.
And there are insurance companies that will insure your classic, and obviously that's one of their criteria. It has to meet a certain, it has to be on their roster for it to be considered. Okay, yeah, this is a classic, and it is a collectible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that a Prius wouldn't be, but for insurance purposes, they were like, yeah, Prius, we can insure it, but it's not, not necessarily a classic.
Yeah. But that's
Most guys can't figure it out because they can't do math.
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Vintage or is it antique?
That's another thing too. When people would be like, "Hey, Frank, well, my car's it's a 1999, but it came out. The first model came out in '95. Is mine not a classic?" I go, yeah, you know what? I couldn't do the math. So I go, you know what? We'll just cut it even. 20 years. We'll set it at 20. The 20-year mark. 20-year mark.
But see, that's a stipulation to come to your meet, because I've brought friends that thought they could bring their 2006 S2000 or whatever, and you're like, no, it's not old enough yet, and you're pretty strict with that,
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say strict. It would just everybody's welcome to come, and I always encourage people. Hey, you know somebody that would like this? Bring them along.
Yeah.
And I just always make it a point to say, if they have a car that's newer than this, they need to park on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Because we want the attention for these cars. I mean, why do I want? Not that I don't like them. Like, let's say, for example, an STI.
Yeah.
Those cars are badass. So I'd like, but they're going to be the center of attention, and maybe they will be, maybe they won't, because at that point, people are like, what's this car doing here?
Yeah.
Which brings, kind of like when Helm first came, I don't know how he heard about the meet or whatever, but I remember he just drives in like he owns the parking lot. and then
which car? My classic.
It was your diesel Mercedes, the 123.
Yeah.
So he's driving, and I'm watching. I'm thinking, what's this guy doing? So he pulls in, and then everybody kind of does the same thing. They back into the parking, so he exposed all the grills, and people pop their hoods and stuff. So he's backing in. I was like, this guy's not parking there. So I let him park, and then I go and I walk up to him. And one of the first words I had with him was like, hey, dude, you're at the wrong meet. Because it's like you're surrounded by Japanese classics, and he's looking around like, huh? You know, and his was the only, you know, German car. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I liked his attitude, and he kind of...
And you felt sorry for him.
Yeah. He
has no friends.
No, but I definitely took heed of the rules in place, meaning that you curate it really nicely so that when people come in, it's an experience, you know. And I definitely respect it. Even though you let me, you grandfathered me in to park wherever I wanted, I still, took the outskirts. But I enjoyed meeting a lot of different people at that meet.
Now, when Mercedes Benzes don't show up, what kind of Japanese cars do show up? What do you guys get at the meet?
I mean, everything ranging from, I think the oldest we've had is like a 1960s Subaru 360, which is, you know, it comes with suicide doors. It's one of those cars that, you know, you don't normally see. It's considered a K car. Mm-hmm. K car is like a mini car. Mm-hmm. So they, you know, anything from that old all the way to the newest, like an R34, for example. Yeah. Nissan Skyline, which now are more common than most imports.
And K car, just for folks watching, it's not to be confused with the Dodge K car from Lee Iacocca's day. Completely different automobile.
Yes, right. They were more like maybe dwarf style cars that were made for, obviously in Japan they want
like little,
everything's compact. So
and we've got a picture of one you said actually came with like a little motorcycle in the back.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, that's the Honda City, which is it's considered a K car. That one in particular is owned by one of our members, who's also a Hot Wheels designer, Matt Gabe.
Let's look at some of the pictures. I think that would be kind of cool.
There it is, right there. There it is. Look at that.
Yeah, if you notice, this one here is a right-hand drive, obviously, and this one in particular is a cabriolet, which they were limited, and they were only, obviously, these cars were only available for the Japanese market.
And the motorcycle went in the back of that?
Yes.
That's cool.
It had to be a fold-up, right? Is that what you said?
Moto compact.
I love the fender flares.
I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but the little motorcycle would go in the back, right behind the back seat or in the luggage area.
That is so cool.
This one in particular was a cabriolet that was custom, limited amounts were made in Japan. So obviously they eliminated the motorcycle so they could, stow away the rag top.
Is that the original graphic too with the little palm tree?
Yes, I believe so. I mean,
cool.
I know Matt Gabe. I wish he was here. He could maybe elaborate more on that. But he's the one that had that car imported.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you just don't see those around.
Let's see what other cars you got here.
There we go.
This one here is a Toyota Corona. Actually, this car was given to me. It was gifted to me, and I owned it for a few hours because at the time I didn't have the space to keep it, and I was at work, and I was like, "Hey, Frank, you're gonna come pick up this car or what? it's gonna get towed if you don't pick it up." And I was like, "Well, hold on, let me make some phone calls." So I called a buddy of mine, Dennis Aquino. He's the one that ended up acquiring it.
Oh, nice.
He's like, "Hey, well, Frank, well, how much you want for it?" I go, "Nothing. Just go and pick it up." He goes, "No, what do you mean? Like, what do they want for it?" No, zero. Get a tow truck within the next hour or so.
Wow.
Get it, and he did. They couldn't start the car, so I guess they lost interest in it. It sat for a while.
But it looked like it's in good shape. Nice paint.
It was, and it landed in the right hands because I guess these cars were very common in the Philippines. And Dennis Aquino, he's Filipino, so he has a passion for these cars.
Oh, nice.
He's one of the very few shops left, that actually work on these older cars, Japanese classics.
Oh, okay.
And they have a passion for it.
What shop is that?
Den's Mechanic. He's out in Baldwin Park area.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Now let's see what other cars we got here.
I'd imagine you guys get a car that you've never seen before just shows up out of the blue, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
look at that.
occasionally that does happen. Kind of like when Matt Gabe brought that little Honda City Cabriolet.
Oh yeah.
That was obviously no one's ever seen one around here.
Oh yeah.
So
And I had one of these. I had a '95 Acura Integra GSR. Loved that car.
yeah,
4-door.
It was a 4-door
Manual.
and you know the story behind the 4-door. I wanted a 2-door, except I knew I was going to get married.
Yeah.
Beth and I were going to get married, and I had ordered it. It took me 6 months to get the car. I had a special order it. Shows up. Beth sees it, and she's like, but you were going to get 2 doors. And I said, well, I got 4 so we could put the baby in the back seat.
See, Helm,
Oh,
you don't,
my God, that's so romantic.
you don't need to get a 4-door car. You already have a 4-door. So eventually you meet a girl, get married, have children.
Yeah.
He's single, by the way.
And a
ladies.
And a
ladies.
pet.
I call those long roofs, but they're also, if you really look at it, it's a steroid-free SUV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's not lifted and it doesn't have the big wheels. And it's like,
Yeah.
I like that description.
I love it. But the Integra was an amazing
That's a
car. I
Frank,
love
would
it.
you say, real quick, I don't want to get sidetracked here, but would you say station wagons are making a resurgence?
I believe so because that there's always a car company that comes up with something like that. Even like Porsche, they don't call it a wagon, but that's initially what it is.
Yeah.
And I have a soft spot for those cars because at one point or another, my dad made a lot of memories in he had a 1974 Country Squire.
Oh,
That's what we had. We had a 72.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So he had that, and I'll share a little bit of my childhood, but I lived out of that car. I was homeless, so a lot of memories with my dad in that car. So the long roof was it because I would put my bike up there, my dad would put his bike, and it was just like out of the way. So it was like we had this long roof to store stuff on top of it, and then he had the luggage rack on the station wagon, and so we put a bunch of stuff up there. That's why I always thought, this roof is so long. That's why I just kind of stuck with it.
I feel
long.
Beth was right. If she's like the wagon is more intimate and personal to people.
Yeah,
because you don't really hear a lot of people talking about like my dad's SUV that we.
Oh yeah,
right. It's just an SUV.
It's like a utility.
Yeah,
we don't have any emotions to it, but a station wagon. We all have stories about station
There's a
wagons.
story hidden.
Yeah. And I know we're gonna have another story with your kids on a station wagon. We're coming up soon, but you're right. It transcends every generation. A station wagon. So yeah.
Do you find that many women go to your meet?
Not necessarily many, but there are the occasional girl that just bought her let's say a 240. S13, she's building it or whatever, or a little pickup truck. But for the most part, the women that do come, usually the girlfriends or the wives of the guys, because they also want to check out what's this whole thing about meeting at a parking just to talk about cars, because it's kind of odd, but it keeps us guys out of trouble. We're not out at the bar drinking or the nudie bar or something like that. So, but so sometimes, women come just to check it out. Maybe first couple of times, and they're like, that's your thing. Go ahead. But there are
stamp of approval on it, right?
Yeah. But there are some that are really into the car scene. They rent on their own cars, and they're not trying to make it known. They just want to kind of fit in and be part of it too. And for the most part, the ones that do come sometimes don't necessarily have the Japanese classic. Like, for example, Natasha Adams, she's been coming to our meet ever since we were, when Helm started coming, and she was more into the Volvo wagons. So that was another one too that would give a hard time. Like, what are you doing here? This is not your meet. But she respectfully would park on the outskirts, and she'd check out the cars and stuff. And then finally one day she showed up to me. Frank, guess what? I go, what? I finally got myself a Japanese classic. And I was like, okay, what'd you get? It's an LS400, Lexus LS400. It's a typical luxury 4-door sedan. And the things she did with that was just crazy because no one ever imagined what she was going to do. She made it into like a Prerunner style off-road luxury vehicle. And this is not a pickup truck or an SUV. This is a luxury sedan. She lifted it. She put on some, 30-inch or 33-inch. I don't remember what size tires at the time. But she kind of went overboard because she was like, I want to do things my way. I like this. And then she took off with it.
She lives somewhere that has no driveway, so she had to put on those big knobbies and.
Yeah.
Or she was going to do
Yeah.
Dakar. with
Yeah,
it.
maybe that's it.
Yeah, so all of a sudden now she could come to the meet, like feel more welcome, like, hey, I got my LS400. So that obviously motivated other girls to start coming, and every Friday there's always a variety of people that come, boys or girls that drive a certain car. So you're never gonna always see the same cars all the time. Yeah, there's a small group of circle that always show up, but that's the cool thing about it too. So when she started to come, and she was like, she had some ideas. She said, hey, since you and your boys and your family are into the graphics and all that, I kind of want to have like something like some livery done on my car. Can you guys do it? And I said, well, what do you want? And she's like, well, I kind of have some ideas. Okay, put it on paper, and we'll go from there. So she did a printout of a photo of her car, I think in black and white, if I can remember. And then obviously she went the old traditional, with a marker and crayons or whatever, colored pencils, coming up with a simple livery design. And then when she showed it to me, I go, absolutely. When do you want to come over? So I had her come over to our house, and when we made it happen in our driveway. That was the thing. It was at night. It was kind of like having our own little meet at my residence. So once we wrapped the car, using spotlights, using heat gun, make sure it lays well without leaving any air bubbles. And once it was completed, we're like, now we got to go do our little photo shoot right now. So we went over to the IKEA in Burbank. Mind you, the parking lot is perfectly lit, and it's obviously an underground parking. And we went there. That was the first place we did the photo shoots. And those photos, when she uploaded them onto Instagram, her Instagram account, like literally overnight, became like viral.
Wow.
Just because of the attention she got from this car. Not just because it was lifted, but the livery that it had on it, it was just like, it just screamed Toyota all over.
Yeah.
Using the Toyota colors, the original racing colors.
Yeah.
That's
yellow,
cool.
orange, and red. So that was a big hit for her. And then eventually she became like a total Instagram famous.
Wow.
She has a little blue check mark or whatever. But hey, that's awesome that she's still very humble and modest, and she'll send me a message. Hey, how you doing? What's up? I'm in town. Maybe we can meet and grab a cup or a bite to eat, and that's awesome. Because usually when people become famous, they forget about you.
That's cool. I mean, just obviously in a male-dominated kind of like culture or whatever, you see a woman kind of do her thing, but do what she wants. It'd be interesting. I wish Beth was here or met her, because I'm sure she has some interesting things to ask her.
So
Might inspire Beth.
Yeah, maybe we'll have her on if she'll come on our show.
Yeah, I'll tell her about it. And if you guys want to follow her, it's Natasha Adams.
I think
on
we do.
Instagram.
I think
Okay,
we do.
nice.
Follow
But
her.
so one of the things that she said, well, how much do I owe you for this? I go, you don't owe me anything. I'm gonna sponsor it for you. So I would say I'm her first sponsor for that
sure.
car. And one of the things I made it clear to her, as long as you rock our sticker of the OJCM as part of your livery. So she does. She's still, till this day, she still has it. And she even had myself and Sebastian sign it, because she wanted us to sign it because I helped start OJCM, and then Sebastian designed the OJCM logo. So she wanted both of our signatures. So our signatures are on her sticker.
That's cool.
Which is about 8 inches in diameter, and it's on the hood of her car, and it's also on the back side. So we, strategically placed it too. So any photos or whatever. But that is one of the things that she still till this day endorses us, and I'm sure she still has a soft spot of our meet, because whenever she's in town or she's in the area or she's not busy doing interviews or photo shoots or whatever, she'll come out to the meet once in a while.
That's cool.
And bring the LS400 that started it all.
Yeah. Shout out to Natasha. Thank you too for coming to me for me to print your guys' hardline lady shirts too.
Yeah, so the hardline ladies. Now that you brought that up, too, so she actually started that hardline ladies hardline, obviously, in the off-road world is basically the hardest trail or the trek that you're going to be off-roading on. So the hardline ladies is specific to just the ladies. So these girls go out on their rigs. It could be anything. It could be Ford. It could be Chevy, a Jeep. In her case, the Lexus, or her other vehicle, which is a Comanche pickup. They'll go out on these trails and they pick the hard lines, but they'll go out just with no guys, just ladies, and they'll either they get stuck or whatever that happens. It's just the girls.
That's cool.
And that's what's cool about it, because it encourages more women to get into that sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's fun to see the old Japanese cars, the little wagons.
Yeah, like
You
the
see those
510
around.
Oh, the 510
wagon.
Yeah.
I think we had one up there earlier, the yellow or mustard colored one.
Yeah.
The Toyota Cressida wagons.
The Cressidas, and obviously, they all had kind of like every make had their wagons too, like the Mazda rotary wagons too.
Yeah.
But
Any do we have any other picks? There we go. There's a nice one right there. There's a pickup.
the Datsun 620 pickup.
Now you said there's a great story behind this one. You were telling us just before we started taping about this and the Hot Wheels.
Yeah, actually, when during the before, or actually around the same time as the pandemic, 2020, they were quarantined, and that particular pickup belongs to one of the members. Abel Vaca is his name. He's one of the original ones that started coming to the meet, and one day, while I was trying to figure out something for him to do at home rather than just play video games, I was entertaining them and introducing them to the Hot Wheels, customizing. So we're like, hey, Abel came up to me and says, hey, you guys do Hot Wheels? And we're like, yeah, we do them. And he's like, can you guys do my pickup? Because at that time, I think it was becoming more common that Hot Wheels came up with the casting, and you'd see it at the pegs at the store, and we picked up a couple, and he's like, yeah, I'd like to get the same pickup that they made into mine. I want it to be looking like mine. So the same wheels. He had, I believe, their center lines, deep dish, 10-inch, and so we're like, okay, we're going to go to the Hot Wheels swap meet and look for the wheels, and so it becomes this thing. It's like almost like you going looking for sourcing out parts for your own vehicle, but in miniature.
Wow.
But this is more of more involved, because now I'm including my boys to come and help me. I showed them how to drill out the rivet, using a pilot hole, drilling into it, and eventually grinding off the lip of the rivet so you could take the car apart. And then you put it back together by using a tapping drill and buying the micro screws to put it all back together. So once you break it apart, you get the interior, you get the windshield and the chassis with the wheels, and you can pop off the wheels, the axles and stuff. And it's a whole process, but you can also customize the interior. Some people want to paint the seats or the
Make it just look like
exactly. So that's exactly what we did with this. It was in miniature, and it's so difficult because you're working with your hands, and it's miniature rather than it being big enough so you can mask things off. So right here you're trying to mask off the rest of the interior, because you only have to paint the dash a certain color of the real truck. So and with that truck, it had obviously a patina that Abel actually left it that way. He put a clear over it.
Oh, nice.
To preserve the patina look. So it had a bunch of rust spots here and there, and he wanted it to look like that. So he's like, I want the casting or the custom Hot Wheels to look as close as possible.
That's crazy. And I see that he rolled the fenders in that photo. Did you guys roll the fender too?
No. Fortunately, Hot Wheels, you
Wide
can't really
enough.
see the detail.
Oh, okay.
But the fenders are, kind of oversized.
Oversized,
and
yeah.
then with the
cool.
wheels, we tuck them in. We make it look like the way it looks in
That
real
is
life, but in
amazing.
miniature. So obviously when we presented it, he's like, well, how much do I owe you? Well, I don't know, give us or give them, because they're the ones that worked on it. I just kind of guided them.
Yeah.
You know.
So we'll have you you want to introduce your boys real fast?
Yes.
Yeah.
My boys to my left is Sebastian DeJesus and Dorian, my youngest.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about the Hot Wheels here in a second, though. I have a trivia question for you guys. Are you ready? Gabe's giving me that look.
Uh-oh.
He gives me this look several times during the show.
Same look I get Helm sometimes.
Yeah.
Trivia question?
You have a trivia?
You still owe me $5 from the station wagon question, too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's interest in I forgot about that. I do owe you $5.
Helm hasn't forgot about that $5.
Well, when you owe Helm money, he's going to bring a strong arm and get his money out of it.
He needs that money to go buy more Hot Wheels.
Yes.
All right, so here's my trivia question. Anybody jump in? I'm going to ask the question and see if anybody knows the answer. Gabe is giving me that look. Here we go. Question. What was the name of the very first Mazda car model sold with a rotary engine? Any guesses?
Gabe's wearing a 7-stock hat.
It's just a hat. It doesn't make you smarter.
You mean
He's the rotary
a
head right here.
production car? A real production?
What's that?
Oh, it's a real production.
Real production
Oh.
car. First one. And I'll give you a clue. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the U.S. or sold in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Could
Well,
include Japan.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was the Japan one. I'm sure this is not the right answer, but I was just gonna say Cosmo. But
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
You know.
Mazda Cosmo.
yeah, but
All right.
what the hell do I know?
All right. Well, we actually have an expert. I brought in an expert.
You did. Oh.
Oh, Helm really looks scared. Right. So let's hear what the expert has to say. All right. So David Neal, Executive Director at the Murphy Auto Museum in Oxnard, California, and automotive historian. What is the answer?
Hi, CJ. The answer is the 1967 Mazda Cosmo. This was the first car that Mazda made for the masses. It was actually a prototype car that debuted at the 1964 Tokyo Motor Show. Most of them actually stayed within Japan. Very few ever made it out of Japan. They're pretty rare today. Incidentally, I used to live in Japan, and what always impressed upon me when I was there, and I've been back since, is the car models they have over there that we have over here, but they call them something different. For example, over here, the famous 240, 260, and 280Z. Over there, it's called the Nissan Fairlady. And there's lots of examples of this. So there you go. There's the answer, and there's a few factoids about Japanese cars.
All right, perfect. Thank you, David. Some of the other Japanese automakers here, they had different names for their U.S. and Japanese models. For example, the Nissan Maxima in the U.S. is the Maxima. In Japan, it's the Bluebird. Do you guys know that?
Yeah, Bluebird, yeah.
All right. The Pathfinder in the U.S. is the Terrano in Japan. The Sentra in the U.S. is the Sunny in Japan.
Oh, dang.
The Mazda 2 in the U.S. is the Demio in Japan. And the Nissan Fit in the U.S. is the Honda Hepburn,
Wow.
Hepburn, as in Catherine?
as in Catherine
Just
Hepburn.
learned something
Really?
new today.
Yes.
And this one's for Gabe. What was the RX-7 in Japan?
Savannah.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared for this.
Man, nice.
So this expert, he didn't Google this while you were talking to him, right?
I hope he wasn't. But when you'll see it. Yeah.
It's crazy though, because the Cosmo is probably like the most like expensive or rarest mods, obviously because it's old, but it's such a cool car.
Well, if you think about it, in the 60s, isn't that when Japan started coming over for the first time?
Yeah, but the Cosmo they never brought over here.
It was just Japan.
Yeah, it was just Japan.
Oh,
Yeah, and the lines kind of followed, to me, in my opinion, it kind of followed like the Ford Thunderbird.
Thunderbird, yeah.
It was like a mini version of it.
Totally,
Got it.
totally.
Because if you look at it, it's like, wait a minute.
So they found inspiration from each other, from with the
I would say so. I mean,
designers.
a lot of designers did that,
Yeah,
you know. But it's funny too because the Cosmo, I tried to get into Mike Malibut's one at 7-stock, and man, I'm not getting in that car. You know, a Thunderbird I could fit in barely,
You
but
could get in it. They're
yeah,
designed for it.
yeah,
I mean,
but you're like,
if Jay Leno could get in his, I mean,
I don't like to be uncomfortable in my car. I mean, Could I get in it? Yes. Could I go around driving comfortably? Probably. Like
Right.
me and a Miata. Dude, picture that. It's like a circus bear. Circus
down.
bear, you know. So
Yeah, that was a good trivia question,
No,
though,
I like
wasn't
that.
it?
I like that.
That was a good
But
one.
what's interesting as well is just the different names from the U.S. to the Japan market too. Like how they come up with those names.
Yeah.
I would love to know.
And then
their
till this
process.
day, it still happens. Like the Lexus LS400
Yeah.
in Japan is the Celsior.
yeah.
And there's got to be some kind of
Toyota
philosophy.
Celsior, not Lexus.
Yeah, yeah.
Toyota
Oh,
Celsior.
See.
Okay. No, but there's got to be some kind of philosophy on why they think they need to name the U.S. version differently than the Japanese and vice versa.
Yeah.
Do we know why or what year the Cosmo came out? What year was that, CJ?
67.
66.
67?
Yeah.
67.
Oh, okay, because Kramer on Seinfeld, Cosmo. I thought it could be an 80s thing.
No.
Wow, Dan. With the Seinfeld.
Yeah, I know.
That's the second time, by the way. I'm counting these ones.
It's Seinfeld, man. Sorry, I love Seinfeld. What can I say?
Okay. Dan, the Seinfeld guy. I got it.
All right, let's talk about the Hot Wheels. This is pretty exciting what you guys are up to. How did this whole thing start?
Well, you know what? It kind of started, as my boys were growing up, they've always had Hot Wheels around, because I grew up with Hot Wheels and Matchbox. So when they were getting old enough to stay up that late for the car meet, they would, I would bring them along with me to be at the car meet. And then they would always have their Hot Wheels with them and they'd play around and whatever. And then at one point they're like, Dad, can we display the cars at the car show? And I'm thinking, yeah, why not? I mean, it's car related. Why not? So at the time I had a hood bra on my Celica, and the slope on the hood, if you put a car, it's not going to stay. So we used the hood bra to kind of act as a little barrier. So Sebastian started to line up all his cars that he brought on the hood of my car.
Cool.
And that got so much attention from everybody because they were like, oh, what are you guys selling? No, they're not for sale. They're my son's. He's just displaying them, just kind of like the real car meet here.
He's
but
got his
this
own
is
meat
his own
within the
little
meat.
car meet. And I was, oh, man, I had one of, how much you want? I'll give you $20 for that. And they're like, no, they're not for sale. But the attention it got was like it was more than the real cars.
Wow.
Because let's be honest, who doesn't like miniatures?
Yeah.
Everybody loves miniatures. I don't care how old you are or what you're into. If it's miniature, everybody's intrigued by that. So I think that's what kind of got the attention of people. And then as they got older, obviously we started to, I remember Sebastian, he would get a hold of a masking tape, and we had, at the time at home, we had laminate floors, and he would make the road out of masking tape and then line up the cars. And I'd come home and it's like the whole floor is like,
That is so
it's like a road, all these roads. And then initially he started to, it's like, bring more of his collection to the car show or to the meet, even to different car shows. And then one of our friends who had a track set. It's a 6-lane super 6-lane track set that Mattel sells for Hot Wheels. It comes in an 8-foot setup. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's designed. For most of us that grew up with Hot Wheels, we would set these things up in our living room or our bedroom, and then Mom said, "Hey, you got to pick it all up," and we'd break it down. And they were designed to be broken down and stash them under your bed or whatever. So when Barry introduced them to this track set, he was setting up at the local. There was a park, or there still is a park. We actually are part of that too. It's a diecast swap meet or Hot Wheels swap meet.
Is that Pasadena?
Yeah, it's in South Pasadena. Yes,
Yeah.
and so and Barry started setting the track up, and he would have these little races, and we just, my boys were like in heaven because they were like, well, now we get to race the cars. And
So how old were you guys at this point?
This was like 2020.
no, even
Okay.
yeah, it was around that time.
That's when we
2019.
started going to the swap meet. We started going in 2020.
Yeah, so I started to get more involved because, I wanted them to start to customize. And at the swap meet, you find all kinds of stuff. You find little miniature roof racks and all the accessories, wings and, fenders and bumpers and wheels of all types, tires. So that's when they got exposed to this track set. And mind you, Barry, he has a setup at home. Obviously, he like some of the YouTubers that do that. So we started kind of chiming into that. It's like, hey, this is cool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry's setup was very simple. He had, you know, just some tables, whatever he could fit in his car at the time, and obviously with some wooden boards to kind of bridge over some of the tables. And this track was maybe about 30 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
But there was really no sense of like an official race. It was just like, yeah, let's race. All right, everybody's just kind of free for all, like line them up and race. So then during that time during the pandemic, I had asked Barry, hey Barry, where'd you get this? And he was like, oh, I've had it, and I started looking online, and nowhere could I find one. These things were not being sold, and I think they made them back in 2003. And then they obviously re-released them or whatever. But we couldn't find them. I couldn't find them online, and I was like, and I wanted them to kind of get into it more. So I asked Barry, hey Barry, on your time that you're not at the park, can I borrow this track so my sons, can tinker with it at home? He said, yeah, man, no problem. Here, he let me borrow it. During this time, I'm searching every day. I'm like going on
trying to find your own, right?
Find it on Amazon, nothing. And then, sure enough, by chance, there was a damaged box that somebody was selling on eBay, and it was brand new, but it was the box was damaged. So I was like, I don't care. I think I paid over $120 for it, shipped. So then that Christmas, my wife and I surprised them with it, and we're like, hey, we're gonna give the track back to Barry, and they're like, oh, okay. They're kind of bummed out. I was like, but ta-da! So then from that point on, they started setting it up, and then next thing you know, they're like, Dad, can we start taking the track to the meet? I'm like, how are you going to do that? I mean, people are going to trip over it. I was like, no, Dad, we put it on tables like Barry. And like, okay, so here I am trying to figure out which is the best practical table so I could fit it in my hatchback. And not just one table, it has to be at least 3.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of went from there. So 3 tables, and then that was to scale. It was 1/8 of a mile, but it was just too short.
Yeah.
And then it grew to 1/4 mile. So we they kind of set it all up. So it was 1/4 mile to 1/64 scale. So they had to do some math, figure out the footage, and
now we're doing math again.
Yeah.
I'm curious. What, on Christmas morning when you guys saw this, what were you guys? What were you guys thinking? That must have been fun.
So what do you call it? We our friend Barry, he brought us the track. And we were holding on to it from like November to December, and then in that time, one of our friends, by the way, shout out to Haraga Bells and Von, he was hosting his own car show, and he thought we brought the track, so he wanted us to go over there. So we were all like, oh hey Barry, could we tinker with the track and borrow it for the show? And then he was all like, sure, yeah, you can hold on to it. So then after we take it to Harag's meet, we think. I'm over here thinking, I'm like, why don't we do this at all the other car shows?
Let's take the track to all sorts of places and have everyone race.
So then we began to do that, and then we were starting to come up with a logo and like figure out a more efficient way to do it with more tables and everything, and how to fit it in the back of the Celica. And then but then he ended up asking for it back, not knowing we were doing this. So we were like, uh-oh. and then on Christmas morning we opened the track, and I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. I was so relieved.
Perfect timing, giving it back to Barry, and then all of a sudden now we have our own. So immediately that same day we started to add our own custom logo. And by the way, this logo was designed kind of like a spin-off of the Kenji style writing. From the Toyota logo, the TEQ that some people are familiar with. That's actually spells out Toyota, which is also part of the design, which for OJCM for our car group. So going back to the car meet thing, this design was actually was designed by Sebastian. He was 12 years old when he designed it.
Wow, that looks awesome.
Which was kind of cool because when the car meet started to get bigger and stuff, and we were like, hey Frank, we need to come up with a logo for our club. I said, wait, time out. This is not a club. This is a car meet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want people to feel like they can't be part of it because now it's a club. You got to get, you know, initiated or whatever. And it's like, no, this is just a group of enthusiasts, and this is exclusive to the Japanese classics.
Yeah.
That's what kind of sets us apart.
Yeah.
It's not just like your typical car meet that you drive up and everybody's just free for all.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of like, hey, you know, Jesse, Danny, and even Rick, we kind of chimed in and was like, hey, Frank, we need to come up with something. Okay. So I was like, okay, why don't we just kind of everybody submit some ideas? And during this time, obviously, Sebastian was there. I think he was 12 years old at the time, and he kind of, you know, when we got home, he's like, hey, Dad, I got an idea. And I'm thinking, like, it better be good, because if you're coming up with it, that means that it has to fit in, and it has to kind of be better than anybody else's idea. So, and sure enough, when the next time we met, the next Friday, some people didn't really have any ideas. They were just kind of throwing out, oh, what if it, you know, we do this, or we didn't really have like an official name. It was just kind of like, hey, what is this thing called? I was like, you know what? It's old Japanese car meet. You know, it's a
Bingo.
car meet. And
Keep it simple, right?
OJCM. So
Yeah.
wow, that's kind of cool. You know, and it was the best way I could describe it to people was kind of like inspired by JCCS, which is a Japanese classic car show with Koji and Terry that started about 19 years ago or almost 20 years ago. But they host this show that started in Long Beach. It was basically the Japanese classic car show.
Yeah.
And this was kind of like inspired by this car meet, because now we can have this every Friday. We don't have to wait a whole year.
Yeah.
And it's at night.
Yeah.
And it's in a parking lot, and it's free.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. So when Sebastian, came home, he sketched out the OJCM, because that was the acronym, Old Japanese Car Meet. And he made it in that same style writing.
Nice.
Because we're Toyota guys, but I know, yes, we're biased because, we're, that's kind of like the Japanese look. Well, it is in general, but it was kind of like a parody to the TEQ.
Like
so the same style writing. And that's where it kind of, incorporated itself as our official group logo.
It's really nice.
And then from there, if you notice on our shirts, it says HW Racing by OJCM, because that's where it kind of started. It originated with my boys, introducing the diecast there, So that, that's kind of like where it went when Sebastian sketched out the first. As a matter of fact, I still have the original artwork.
That's awesome.
He sketched it out, and I was like, man, he hit it right on the nail.
And what were you thinking when your dad said, "Okay, we're using this"?
I was kind of thinking, well, you're only using it because I made it. That's what I
nepotism, huh?
That's what I first thought. But then I was like, well, you know what? I nobody else really came up with anything, and
because everybody was hyping it up, like, man, we're gonna come. Okay, well,
where is it?
I didn't want to just take it upon myself and say I'm gonna design it. Right? And I actually opened it up. I go, well, give me your ideas. A lot of people knew that my wife and I, our background is kind of, we're artists, we're craftsman artists, so we do all kinds of different things. But one of the things we've done for the last 25, 30 years is we've designed logos for people, even famous, music groups that I can't mention, but those are some of the things that we kind of focus on, make it simple. Usually it's a one or two color, not too elaborate. And those are the logos that kind of get embedded in people's minds.
Resonate and live.
Yeah, so that was kind of like something that I didn't want to take that responsibility, so I kind of threw it out to the group. I says, hey, if you guys can come up with some ideas, I can help you put it together, and we can do that. And Sebastian in the background, he's like listening to this, and then that's when he came home and sketched out that. Look what I got. I was like, wow.
Well, and not a lot of people got to see this behind the scenes, but I know your creativeness and your illustration skills, because I used to see a lot of the drawings that your dad would show me of what you would sketch. So I knew you hit it in the park when I saw that.
Did you know that Frank put out to the group that they needed a logo?
No.
Okay. Because I think if he did it, you didn't submit anything. I'd be like,
You know what?
I would have.
He would have, and you would have if you would have been there.
You got me.
Hey,
You got
I
me.
would have, but he kicked me out.
I never kicked you out.
I know, I just
You're welcome.
No, exactly.
But
So let's talk about, because that kind of went into the Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
When did you guys get an idea that this thing was going to take off?
About probably beginning of December of 2020.
And what was it? Did just people coming up to you? And
When we would go to the other shows, and then like like
The show at Bells and Vaughn, they have a toy drive at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Hrog has a car show and toy drive at the end of the year, and we brought the track. It was very simple at the time because we were just starting out, and what we would do is we have the table with the racetrack, and then I would put up all my little Hot Wheels cars as like a car show right there. So it's like the Hot Wheels car show at the big car show. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" and everything. It was really very simple. I didn't have very many cars, and I didn't put very many of them on the table because we only have 3 tables, and I didn't want them to roll off. But I had a few of them there. And,
at the time, we only had 3 tables.
yeah.
How many tables do you have now?
it's 6 tables.
Six
tables
tables
is-
just for the track.
Yeah, because you remember when the 3 tables, when we broke it down and actually scaled it down, it was approximately 1/8 of a mile. So we actually embraced that and said, yeah, this is our eighth of a mile track, or do you want us to set up the quarter mile?
Yeah.
And they're like, everybody's like, oh, quarter mile.
Yeah.
They're imagining it's a quarter mile.
Yeah.
No, this is a quarter mile to scale.
scale.
Yeah. And what scale is that? 164. And they're like trying to figure out.
More math. More math.
Like, how long is it?
Yeah. And then what do you call? We ended up debuting the quarter mile track like a year or two later at a shout out to Patrick Strong as well at his Diecast Cars and Coffee. We're gonna have the next one at the end of February.
Yeah, the diecast cars and coffee.
That
Yeah,
is so cool.
it's basically it's a cars and coffee, but for diecast.
Wow.
So that's a lot.
Are the copies miniature too?
So a lot of the diecast community, whether you're a designer, a vendor, whatever it is, they all kind of meet there. And this is held at the Automobile Driving Museum, which is now the Zimmerman, down in El Segundo, which is really neighbors to the Mattel headquarters. So that's when we decided, you know what, this is a perfect time to introduce our quarter mile track setup. You know, and you know, when Patrick asked us to come, that was a treat because they're like, wow, we're gonna be able to bring the track, and we told them, hey, we're gonna debut a quarter mile track, and they're like, wow. So, you know, we weren't sure if we were going to have enough room or not. You know, now our footprint, it became from a 10 by 15, now it's a 10 by 30.
Wow.
You know, because we don't just, I mean, the tables themselves, each table is like a 2x4 and it 2 feet by 4 feet, and it folds. So I can be able to fit it in the back of my car. Now we've moved up to other bigger vehicles because we have barriers, and we've added more stuff to the track. Now we have three tracks to.
You brought some footage, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, we've got some photos, we got some videos of this, just so you can get a sense of just how big it's become, how many people show up, and I mean, this is pretty impressive. You guys have to be pretty proud of yourselves and how you pulled this thing off.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's cars. It has to do with cars. I mean, I don't care how old you are. It brings people together. You know,
Totally.
and that's when people would see their display, and then the crowd they would bring when we were having the races, and it's a live race.
Yeah.
It's basically like a real live racetrack experience, but in miniature.
So people getting into it too.
Yeah, they
100%.
get into it.
Absolutely.
Do they bring their own car? And
That's
then
the idea. You
they
have
bring
to,
it.
yeah.
It's just like when you go to the track and you're gonna race your car on the track. You're bringing your own car. You're not gonna bring Gabe's,
Right.
and his doesn't even run anymore.
Well, I didn't know.
Ouch. Oh, man. It's
Yeah, I shouldn't be talking. My car's down right now.
Well, because I'm thinking maybe some people show up, and if they don't bring a car, they could use one of yours, and that could be theirs.
No, it doesn't
for the
work
race.
that
That's
way.
not
you got
the
to
way
run
it
what you brung. Right?
We actually we do set up a couple of small tables when we hand select some of the cars that are compatible with that track and the theme at the time. You know, if we're gonna go to a hot rod show or whatever, we'll bring some hot rods that that can actually be compatible to that track setup.
Oh, I see.
So if occasionally when we set up, sometimes people are like, oh, well, I if I would have known, I would have brought my Hot Wheel. Well, here's some Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Don't be cheap. Buy one.
Yeah.
Put it on the track
There
and
you
let's
go.
go.
Yeah.
And then that started the momentum. Now we have returning champions, and these are grown ass men that they have their little cases and they have their collection. They know which cars, depending on which track we set up, because that's another thing that sometimes we don't reveal which track until like a day or two before.
Oh, wow.
To kind of keep people on their toes.
Yeah, sure.
And this is also different than most people, there's these big YouTubers that set up their track sets in their,
Houses.
man caves, houses, garages.
Those are permanent tracks.
But those are more permanent. And
okay.
ours, the unique thing about ours is a pop-up track.
Yeah.
We can take
You
it
could change
anywhere.
and you could change it.
We can bring it to a church. We can go, we do weddings. We just got hit up a few weeks ago. They wanted to commission the boys for a funeral. The guy who passed away, I guess
Wow,
he was a race car driver, and he was a Hot Wheels guy.
Oh, that's cool.
wow.
And then his son, an older guy, he hit me up. He goes, "Hey, do you guys do funerals?" I'm like, "We've never done a funeral, but that would kind of be cool."
Yeah.
What a great way to honor. That's
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He goes, "You know what? I like what your boys are doing. This kind of brings everybody together." And I want that, and I think my dad would want that.
Wow,
I
that's
was like, okay,
cool.
well, here's our card, and give us a call. But I guess he ended up not going with it because he pitched the idea to the rest of the family. I think the sisters or his other siblings, and they didn't really have the vision for it. I wish they would have been there to see it.
Yeah.
They kind of shot it down and said, "Nah, you know what? We're not going to do it after all." Okay, so not a big deal.
We've got a couple clips if you guys want to see some clips of
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
We've got some
absolutely. Yeah,
stills.
yeah.
Let's bring that up. Hang on just a sec. And
And you guys do announcing too, right?
Oh yeah.
You're the
So you could hear the crowd, and also the background music that Sebastian and Dorian actually put up.
I put together a playlist.
They put a
of
playlist depending on the
songs
Yeah.
curated specifically for
Oh, that's cool.
for racing. I have a playlist for like more muscle car type racing.
Oh,
that's
that's
what we use for our quarter-mile drag strip. The one you see in the clip is actually our toge course, so it's more geared. It's more technical because there's more corners and stuff. The muscle cars don't do very well on those corners.
That's cool.
That one's more geared towards like
911s and stuff.
JDMs tuners, JDMs tuners, Canyon cars, more nimble type cars.
Canyon carvers, basically.
Yeah.
We first debuted that truck at the second anniversary of the Fujiwara Tofu Cafe. Shout out to Vinny,
cool.
one of our sponsors.
That's cool.
And has with all these great events that you guys have been doing in this short amount of time, has Mattel given you guys love and seen and have been watching you guys and
As a matter of fact, last Legends Tour, this was last year, the one 2022 actually.
Yeah.
Not 2023. 2022, Matt Gay was actually kind of toying around with the idea that, hey, that would be a cool setup, and I kind of mentioned that, hey, that'd be cool if we could set it up at Mattel headquarters.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I can make it happen. And so he made a few phone calls. Next thing you know, he's sending me a contact from Mattel, and I'm like,
it's amazing.
and it's like, hey, are you sure we could set this up? And he goes, yeah, man, you guys are good. And it was like, I mean, it is something very unique, especially, the way my sons conduct the races. It's not like your typical, you show up to Mattel or some of these places that have the track sets already. It's just a free-for-all.
They just have a ramp on a table, and all the kids just go like, and they're like fighting and pushing and like to put it all over, and then like, oh no, my car, where'd it go?
Yeah.
And
So here, my sons conducted, and we actually banned people from the track, just like real life.
Definitely like real life.
You're
out of here.
Oh,
So when obviously they saw maybe some clips on Instagram, they approved it. Obviously, I mean, they didn't tell me that, but I'm sure that's what they saw, and they're like, yeah, we know what you guys can do. So we were able to set up at Mattel headquarters, which was
amazing.
Cloud 9, and they even got to meet Larry Wood.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Mr. Larry Wood himself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
and it was so honorable because
This is amazing.
when we set up the track, this is before the crowd was let in. They let us in so we could set up. It took us about 45 minutes to set it up. Larry was walking around and And he came over to our track. What is this? Sir, this is our track. And it was like, whoa, can we get a photo? Sure. And we didn't even know what to say because we're like, wow, this is the legend coming over to us and, you know, loved our setup.
That's amazing.
Obviously. And the same thing with when, when once people started to come in to the venue, it was the Legends Tour, they were automatically signing up. Well, where do we sign up? You know, how does it work? So we had to come up with a sign-in sheet, and so we could put the name of the event at what time, just like a real racetrack.
Yeah.
You know, type.
And what's amazing is to see that it's just the passion that kind of fueled this whole project, right?
Yeah.
Having a business plan, making money wasn't your first plan of attack.
No,
Look at what it's become. It's flourished to where people are looking for you guys.
Yeah.
You know, and actually, look, I gave your dad a contact.
Yeah.
What my friend's son's 21st birthday. And he wants to do it at the Valley Relic Museum, and they're going to set that up.
Oh, that's a
But
great location.
They want to hire you guys to do his birthday. So
Nice.
it's those kind of, the word of mouth, but that's what I love is that you guys aren't driven by you guys making money. And you're a senior in high school. You just
I'm a high school
graduated,
senior.
but that says something for somebody to pursue their dream.
Yeah, because back to the whole thing with Barry, a big part of how we came to be was because he and I, when we were racing on Barry's track, we got really competitive because we brought our own cars from home, and I'm like, this is my fastest one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat him. He's the owner of the track, and he brought his car. I'm gonna beat him.
Yeah.
And we were going like all day, like racing, like one. Oh yeah, well I got a faster one, and then we became super competitive, and then we were like, we could drive, like we could do this and have like everybody be competitive, be like get into it, because like a lot of people are like, no, I won't do that, but like when they have their own car and they're racing, that like
it just increases the intensity
Exactly.
more.
Yeah.
and you,
Because it's like a real
Exactly.
race.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a real racetrack experience.
Exactly.
Minute.
And do you guys go through rounds?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
so we
How does
have
that
it all
work?
organized.
Yeah.
So the for our tournaments, because we conduct, when we bring the track to places, we conduct our official tournaments with prizes and stuff and trophies. So the way we usually do it is an elimination tournament where we do heats, and the first one in each heat to score 3 wins is the winner. So just winning once isn't enough. Because like a lot of times that would happen would be like one of them wins and he's like I win, but then they run it again and then he ends up not winning.
Yeah.
Because
Or he
like
flips.
Because you have like a
Yeah.
leaderboard, winner board, or where you can see the
I-
competition and make it to a final or something.
Yeah,
like that?
so
We have like a little stack, like a little tier.
we have a tier where we place the cars that are finalists, and near the end, after everybody who's won a round, they get put into the final round, and then at the very end, all the winners race each other, and then the first one to get 3 wins first is the winner.
Okay. That's
cool.
So that there's no flukes like, oh, this guy just won once, he wins it all. No, you got to win 3 times. You got to be a consistent winner and win 3 times, and then that gets you to be the champion.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I gotta ask: are people modding their cars out to like try
Absolutely.
to?
Yeah,
edge?
we encourage that.
Absolutely,
We
yeah.
encourage that, but we do have to set rules too, because we've had people try to sneak in pullbacks or even the Hot Wheels remote control.
What?
Put this one. No, we got to inspect it. Just like everyone's-
Dude, gotta go through tech.
yeah.
Every car's gotta go through tech.
A
that's
NASCAR
when-
inspection, right?
And that's kind of like when it becomes a thing where there's even kids that bring their Ziploc bags full of Hot Wheels, and I want to try one of these and get the fastest. So my sons will help them select out of all their pack. And then, you see these adults passing by. I was like, "Is he going to race all those?" No, you're only allowed to race one.
Yeah.
But he's here. This is like pre-qualification stage where he's testing out all his cars, and my sons are helping
that's
them.
amazing.
And then from all those cars, we pick the fastest so we can, register that driver with that car. And,
So that he has the best chance.
And the details don't stop there, and the legitness of the race event. Can you explain like the timer where you got how it monitors the time of like first, second, third? Yeah, you got that design.
The timer itself. Playtronics is the guy. He's based out of Israel.
Play robotics.
Play robotics. I'm sorry. So. Watching some of these YouTubers, have these tracks, we kind of get some ideas from them, and some of these YouTubers have these elaborate type of timers set up. So going back to our track, that's a 6-lane. It originally started with the 6-lane. We had to figure out a way to not just use the Hot Wheel Mattel design finish line, because that only marks the winner.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's always second place, third place. So that would become technical when we have the finalists do the last race, because we need to know who's second place, because we have a podium, you know, for second and third.
Their prizes as well.
Yeah, and the prizes. So we kind of had to figure out, well, the slow motion camera on our phone is good, but we want to show people like, hey, look, the marker says there you came in second, third. So I reached out to this guy through social media, through Instagram. He says, hey, I noticed you make these, 3D print them, and you add servos and all this and timers, and depending on the distance, you can program it. And I reached out to him. I said, hey, I have a 6-lane track, and he wasn't very familiar with it, because he would only do 2 tracks or 4 track.
Yeah.
And then I started sending him photos. Hey, I have an extra one. If you want, I can ship it to you and use it as like your display or your prototype, so you can make one. And I basically over the message system, I explained to him what we wanted actually.
Yeah.
So I say we want a finish line with sensors on each track, so it can track each placement of vehicle, of the cars that would cross the finish line. So then,
And how close to? I mean, a millisecond. I mean, do you know how close it comes? Because some of I was watching some of the videos. And some of them are pretty close.
yeah,
you can't tell.
It's very accurate. It's
Okay.
very accurate. Sometimes with the lighting, if the sunlight is hitting it a certain way, sometimes it blinds the sensor. So we kind of have to stand over it to kind of give it some shade, so that it actually
Sees it.
senses it. Because if there's too much light or sunlight, sometimes it doesn't capture it. So, those are some of the little tweaks that we have to figure out the day of, depending on where our setup is and things like that. But that is a game changer too, because, no one had ever developed that. And even this guy said, hey, are you going to be exclusive? No, we just want one for us. You can sell them. So he started selling them now. So people who follow us, we get a lot of messages. Parents say, hey, we really like your track. I want to set up something like that for my boys at home, or my daughter, or whatever. Because even girls get into it,
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, sure. And we give them all the resources. Hey, this is the guy who 3D printed the stands.
Nice.
This is the guy who did the timer. And it starts to add up. They realize, like, oh, it's not that easy. Just, come up with something. So they'll just stick to the basic, like when we started, just the basic six-lane track, and then extend it with
3 tables.
How long does it take you guys to set it all up and break it all down? That's got to be some work.
It kind of depends. It usually fluctuates around 45 minutes to an hour if conditions are unfavorable, like unfavorable slopes of concrete that we're on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we also have to take that into account, because unfavorable slopes will, like, if the slope is supposed to be going this way, but they have us set up, like, the way we're set up is like
Wonky kind of.
perpendicular to the slope, then we have to put wedges to even it out this way.
Yeah, so there's a whole science behind it. It's like physics,
Yeah.
So it does require us, when people are reaching out to us by email or through Instagram, hey, my husband's turning 45 and I want to have a birthday party, and this would be the best thing for him. And when we have to cover all those bases, hey, what's the spacing? Is it going to be inside? Is it going to be outdoors? Is it going to be at a hall?
Yeah.
So we have to figure that out as well. And say, okay, if it's going to be outdoors, is it on grass or is it on concrete? How's the slope?
Which way is the wind blowing?
Exactly.
That too.
If it's too windy,
Well, if it's windy.
We've had setups where some of these Santa Ana winds are
Sure.
brutal.
Crazy, yeah.
So we've
Sudden
learned from the
gusts.
past where we set up, all of a sudden the gust of wind comes and boom, it blows off half the
Like,
track.
wow.
It's like, whoa, what happened? So we learned from that. And now we bring these mini bungees and we strap down the track,
That's
things like that. Because this is a gravity track. It's not like it doesn't have those boosters or propellers. It just,
Hey Frank, a dumb question here maybe, but is there any crossover from the slot car world? Because when I was a kid, I mean, slot cars were at different scale slot cars, and it seems like there might be some kind of crossover there, or no? It's just a completely separate
it's
world.
a separate world. I mean, because
those are powered.
Yeah, those are powered. You need electricity. Not only that, it's more expensive. I mean, think about it. You have under $2, you can go to any Target or Walmart and just pretty much pick any of the of the cars that are even the ones that are fantasy cars. They're designed for track.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Pull it off the peg and go buy it and crack it open and put it on the track. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, for a slot car, not every kid, parent could afford, a slot.
I've seen more adults
like
doing
that.
it than kids anyway. I mean, when I was a kid, it was kids, but now they're big and elaborate and all those.
Well, it's funny that you say that because sometimes when we have our setup and my boys are trying to flag people, hey, you guys interested in racing? They're like, what do you mean racing? Yeah. What is this? It's a racetrack. It's kind of like we're sarcastic, but
Yeah.
don't you see? but yeah, it's like almost like a dumb question. Like, really, you don't know?
Are you serious?
Yeah. So, and occasionally we get that macho guys like, oh, I race real cars. Well, really? Okay, that's good. But your real car is not getting you the prizes that we have. Well, what are the prizes? Oh, first place prize $100 cash. Oh,
really?
Where do I sign up? Well, you need your Hot Wheel first of all. Do you have one? Oh no, I don't. I thought you only played with real cars. Well, no, I do have some. All of a sudden, it changes the mood.
Yeah.
But it's cool because then they realize like, wow, I'm really still a kid. I still can play. And that's the cool part about it. Like believe it or not, most of the private parties that we do, birthdays, they're for adults.
Yeah, exactly.
And the kids parties that usually we get hired for or they get hired for, they end up turning into adult parties, right?
Parents.
Yeah.
Because the parents come and like, hey,
Exactly.
we want to race now.
Everybody
our
wants
own staff,
Yeah.
But it's cool because it's very unique and it unites everybody. I mean, think about it. Like some of the things that I've heard people say is like, oh well, I can rent a moon bounce for the whole day and it's only going to be $300. I go, yeah, but is grandma gonna get in the moon bounce?
Yeah.
No, she's not.
No.
No, I
Grandma
think,
go race, though.
I think the
Grandma
big
go
Grandma's
race.
gonna race with you
Exactly.
and your grandchildren,
right.
but
But I
everybody else,
I think you guys dealing with the Hot Wheels and just diecast in general brings that nostalgia.
Yeah.
You see, I think we had a previous episode we talked about like, what inspired you, Helm, to get, to have a love for the automobile.
Yeah.
And it stemmed from my collection of like Hot Wheels, So
Yeah, we all played
as we
with Hot
uncover this a bit more, we're gonna definitely meet a lot of people that are gonna embrace this movement that's been around since 1960s.
Yeah.
You get anybody coming in and saying, I got a Matchbox?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have Tomica, we have Matchbox. The cool thing about some of the Tomicas, Sebastian can elaborate more on that.
They have lots of Tomica premiums. They have things that Hot Wheels don't have. Lots of them have opening doors, but
Not
the main
even
thing,
the premiums. Most of the main lines have
the main thing, they have like a little wire on the inside around on the wheels, so it has working suspension. So when you push down on the car, it squishes down like, with
Oh, okay.
suspension. And for tracks like our toge track, suspension is actually a good thing because it allows the car to roll around the turns a little
Wow,
while.
it actually does.
It's like the real deal.
That's
and
badass.
we've tested that. We put it to the test with
Cars,
some people,
like some like more heavy muscle cars that
More
are like,
rigid.
that are like really rigid and they're flat. They end up hitting 3-wheel motion because on the turns they like they kind of like
yeah, it's
kinda-
amazing.
That's
they
cool.
kind of tip over. But for the ones with the suspension, they can like navigate the turns a little better because they can roll left and right, and so
They're a little more nimble
they
too.
become more nimble.
Just like the real deal.
Well, that leads to a question then. So when you see the cars lining up for the beginning of the race, do you guys often look at it and go, "Oh, that one's going to win"?
Sometimes, yeah.
You know which one.
We kind of know.
I-
Well, they're both walking encyclopedias when it comes to these.
Yeah, after racing with and owning Hot Wheels for so long, I kind of have a lot of general ideas for like, oh yeah, these are generally really good for turns. Oh yes, this one will destroy this one on the straightaway.
Wow.
This one might take it in the turns, but this one will get them on the straightaway. Or
Yeah.
or this one's better all around. Or this one, oh no, I think that one's gonna flip over. It's too top heavy. Or
All right, we're gonna talk later because I need you to get me into a car that I'm a wax helm with. So we're gonna make this happen. What?
Yeah, but you guys should already know this because you've played with Hot Wheels too.
Yeah.
I mean, my boys have been playing with Hot Wheels ever since they can hold one in their hand. So combined, I'd say they probably have about 30 years experience in the diecast world combined.
Oh wow.
Because they've been dealing with Hot Wheels ever since they can hold it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there one that you guys don't know? Or do you think you know pretty much everything that's out there, Hot Wheels wise?
Oh no, there's some stuff out there that even we don't know.
there's always more room for improvement in our knowledge and everything about that.
I like that.
Every time I think I've known everything, here comes something else. Like, wow, I never knew that existed. I gotta get one.
Or even
I gotta get
different
one of those.
variations, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Variations,
Well,
like, what? This
we-
one came out? What? Wait a minute.
We'll be opening. We'll be drilling open a car, and then I'll drill open the same car re-released in like 2020 from 2006, and then I noticed that they changed the interior.
Yeah,
and nobody knew.
So therefore, the weight is different. So therefore, it would affect its performance on the track.
Like
So
different casting maybe too.
Yeah.
And
Not only
Different
that-
toolings, different rivet
Really?
positions.
Wow.
So, some of these Hot Wheels, I guess the designers put personal touches, and they're kind of like Easter eggs too, because you don't really see them until you
Until
pop
you
it open.
take it open.
like the Porsche 944, right?
Yeah, that one has a little stethoscope in the back of like the trunk area.
In the
It-
luggage,
it's-
the luggage.
In the
area.
luggage area,
But
yeah.
you know that the story behind that, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's Ryu's friend. That's a
Ryu
doctor.
Asada, the doctor, yeah.
Yeah, and that's his car before he, rest in peace, Ryu, when one of the main designers
Yeah.
for Hot Wheels. But that was a doctor friend that he would go cruise when he already was diagnosed with cancer. Would want to go cruise and just drive, and he would take that that 944 and look at that little Easter egg, that the detail that they put into that.
Yeah, most people won't even notice it or even
Yeah.
Pay much
think
attention.
of it. Like, what is that? You know, because you can see it through the window if you
Yeah,
really look close.
exactly,
But
exactly.
when you see it on the peg, it's like, oh, that's a cool 944, but you don't really know the story
Yeah.
behind it and why it, little things like that.
So if you're modding all these cars, let's say some guy wants to cheat like me, and like, could somebody come in to one of your races with a Hot Wheels and say like with a 3D printed body, like a pro mod, could they come in? Would they be disqualified from the race because they've custom made their own car?
No, not necessarily. As long as it has free wheels,
yeah.
and it actually fits on our track, it should be fine.
Yeah.
And we actually encourage that, and some people add weights to them or remove weight because we do have weight limits. Anytime we have cash
Oh,
prizes,
so you have weight limits.
yeah. Anytime we have cash prizes, that kind of makes it more intense. And,
Yeah.
and you see all of a sudden all these older guys that know their Hot Wheels too, and they'll come and they'll blow everybody away because they have these
The
these
60-gram Hot Wheels
yeah.
car. That's like,
and we're like, wait a minute, time out. That's not fair for the little
Yeah.
kids and everybody
Yeah,
else
yeah.
Who's,
Yeah.
who's starting to do this, So we started putting limits, and even some of the hosts that sponsor the prizes when we come. Sometimes they're not getting paid to be there. They just say, hey, can you set up? I go, okay, well, work a deal with us. Can you sponsor the prizes? What do you mean? Oh, these are the prizes. So that motivates people to race. And they're like, okay, good. So here's the prize. For example, OC Yoda's.
Shout out to Angel.
Yeah, through Yoda Trader. He hosts this thing with off-road, mainly Toyotas and Lexus vehicles. That's what's called Yoda Trader, down in Orange County. And he honed in on them a long time ago, and he always wanted us to come out there, but some way, somehow, we could never make it because we always had an event that day. So one day he's like, hey, can you guys come out? Whenever you guys can come out. And we came out that one day, and it was a total blast. It was like a hit sensation. Everybody so now we're a staple there.
That's cool.
Wow.
So Angel, thanks to him, they've grown more. They've gotten a lot more private parties through there, and he actually contributes the prizes. First place prize is $100 cash. Second place is $50, and third place is $25.
Wow.
And when he does the anniversary, we do 2 tournaments. So it's double the pot. So the pot is $175. Imagine
Wow.
that. So it really drives people like
That is
crazy.
fun.
And people
Yeah.
drive from all over. They're like, where is it? Orange County? I'll be there. People
Kids
from
and-
Riverside, from
That's
Fontana.
cool.
They're like,
Yeah.
because we ask them, how'd you hear about it? Oh, I saw your post. My sister asked me to follow you, and we started following you, and I saw your post. I was like, perfect.
Wow.
And the great thing about that is that it's kids and adults too, because when the kids, they have their cars and they see, wow, I could win $100.
Yeah.
I'm gonna race my car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the adults too, everybody gets.
Yeah, not only that, sometimes, the parents will come, oh, yeah, we want to register them. I go, and we say, what about you? You guys are old enough to
Yeah.
race too. And they're like, no, well, this is kids. No, it's not really. Think about it. You increase your chances.
Yeah.
And then we kind of sell it to them that way too. We say, hey, look, if you all 4 of you register as a family, your son, daughter, mom, and dad, we'll put you on separate heats.
Yeah.
So that increases your chances.
There you
to get
go.
to the finals.
You know,
Yeah.
if one of you guys make it to the finals, hey, somebody's buying dinner, right?
Yeah.
Or all that money is going to go back to buying more Hot Wheels.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's
Exactly.
well. It's just like racing cars. It's like every time you win money at a street
car
race,
parts.
It goes
Yeah,
back into car.
or
now you
paying
got to
for
buy
your ticket.
tires and
Yeah.
suspension. You're upgrading.
yeah, fuel, whatever. But it seems like the cool part is that you've leveled the playing field.
Yeah.
Anybody can
Yeah.
compete.
Oh yeah.
We wanted to make it official.
Yeah.
Like an officially like fair and sanctioned race, where so
yeah.
it's not just like anything goes.
Yeah.
Be crazy. This guy completely destroys everyone, or something.
That's cool.
We have like a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in the reason why we have barriers and stuff, because we don't want people like, let's say they get excited, they before we didn't have barriers, we'd have literally the kids or all the spectators would be almost leaning on the
Changing the angle of the
on
track.
the table.
Yeah.
No,
That
not necessarily
was-
changing it, but they were almost. We would say, hey, give us some space, you know. But it gets so intense, so excited that they're literally like tapping the table like little by little and says,
Yeah.
look, we're gonna have to put barriers.
Yeah.
There's another reason too why we put barriers. We'll get into that later, but because it's very technical, you know. Like
Yeah,
people say,
yeah.
hey man, can we do that race over? And we don't do retakes. You know,
Yeah.
if your car flips or it jumps the lane, hey, it's just
yeah.
like the real deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
So
Can't you say,
obvious
oh,
question, guys. How come there's no loops? I mean, I grew up on Hot Wheels and we have
Oh,
loops.
well.
So
Well,
why no
it's
loops?
kind of tying it back into the real racetrack experience.
Yeah.
In a real racetrack, when do you see a loop?
Not too many.
No. So, except that didn't Hot Wheels do a real loop?
They did a stunt show in around 2011 for one of the anniversaries, I think.
Yeah, that was a real loop in real life. But
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
Obviously,
Oh,
that was
really?
very well planned and
Yeah.
you know,
It
real.
wasn't a race.
Don't try this at
No.
home. Kind
So
of.
it's
Absolutely,
evil
yeah.
Knievel versus racing. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, so we just kind of like honed it down, simplified it to the like a real racetrack experience. Obviously, it's not, you know, you're not gonna smell the octane and have
Yeah.
all these rubber
Yeah.
tires. So the wheels on the cars that do best on the track
Yeah.
are the plastic wheels.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes people want to buy the premium because they're the cool looking car, and then
The rubber tires.
the
Yeah.
rubber tires, the special wheels, and all that. But those actually have more friction, or even on the tollgate course,
They
on
rub
every
it-
turn.
They rub against the wall.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
so that acts as a
down.
brake.
Slows them down.
It hinders
It slows them.
Wow.
But sometimes, you know, we have people that they just want to race it because they want the, I guess the bragging rights. Hey, my car was at Hot Wheels racetrack,
Yeah.
and I raced it. They don't care if it slows it down. I just want to put it. They don't care. They're just still registered.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is
And you know, as they see it coming down, you know, it'll get stuck like on the third hairpin or the fourth one. And, you know, we kind of joke with them, say, hey, I ran out of gas or something.
Yeah.
Or if it's a rotary, it's like, oh, what happened, you know?
Man. All right. Hey, so I've got another trivia question.
Oh,
Throw it to you guys.
oh, no.
This is a Hot Wheels based one.
Give me an ulcer, man.
Okay. Now these guys may get it. All right. Since they're so good at the Hot Wheels, I don't have any.
putting my
trust-
money on them.
I don't have any trust in you two. guys.
No, you shouldn't.
All right. So here's the question: Hot Wheels, manufactured by Mattel, was founded in 1945 by Matt Mason and Elliot Handler. Matt and Elliot. So Matt Tell. Okay. You guys know that.
Yes.
I can tell.
Yeah,
Look
we
at your face. Handler and his wife bought Mason shares. The Handlers had 2 children. What were their names?
Okay, that I don't know.
That-
Yeah,
that-
we
that we don't
couldn't.
know.
I
couldn't
thought
say.
this was going to be a trivia question about the names of the diecast.
What's that got to do with Hot Wheels?
This is a damn good trivia.
Oh, I don't know the
question.
answer. I don't
love
know.
it.
Don't look at me. I don't
love
know
it.
anything
No,
about
no.
this.
Okay,
I
so
like that.
Definitely don't.
so nobody, no
not
guesses
a clue.
on
not a
what their
clue.
2 children's names are?
Not a clue.
How about if I give you? Okay, I'll
What
give
about-
you a clue. It's a boy and a girl.
Maybe one of them is Ken. I don't know.
Barbie?
Ken and Barbie.
We have the expert. Let's go see what the expert says. What is the answer?
Hi, CJ. Yeah, the answer is Barbara and Kenneth, also known as Barbie and Ken. Those were 2 kids of one of the Mattel founders, a guy named Elliot Handler. and of course, very famous for Hot Wheels, which came out of the Mattel Corporation. Incidentally, Larry Wood is a very, very famous designer. Designing Hot Wheels for 30, 40 years. Very iconic. And my young son and I, we were at a car show one time, and there was Larry Wood. And of all the people that were there, which was Hendrik Fisker, Jay Leno, he saw Larry Wood and he wanted his picture with him. So we have a picture of my son Max with Larry Wood, which really made Max's day. Hopefully it made Larry's day as well.
I know seeing Larry Wood a lot. Even the guys in our set are pretty excited to see Larry Wood.
Wait,
it was Kenan.
It is.
Yeah, I just took
So
because that was the big thing, until Hot Wheels came about, and they just kind of Hot Wheels just took over. I mean, they.
See, it's my daughters. I asked that same question to my daughters. They couldn't figure it out. In fact, my oldest daughter goes, "Wait a minute, what kind of stupid question is that? How am I supposed to know what their kids' names are?"
Oh my gosh, that's a cool trivia.
Yeah, so let's see here. They also said, too, that they mentioned Larry Wood.
Yeah.
Oh,
Larry Wood.
Yeah, Larry Wood. And we've actually got some photos with Larry Wood and our historian, David Neal. So they met.
Oh,
wow.
wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So pretty exciting stuff. I wondered if you guys would figure that out.
That is
with
a cool, oh man.
Yeah, with the Barbie and
cool-
Ken. There was their two kids, part of Mattel.
Are you done with the questions?
So I have a third.
What?
Third. I have a. No, I'm joking. No. That's enough trivia.
go
Enough
ahead.
school.
Oh no, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, it seems to me that this evolution that you guys have gone through in the last almost 20 years or whatever. Would you say that it all started when you decided to start the meet? Like, because it seems like everything's kind of stemming off of this meet that you started.
Yeah, I never in my wildest dreams did I think we were gonna be, so well known as OJCM, and not that we're publicly known, because it's almost like word of mouth.
Yeah.
But it is known, and then people see posts, people post, and they use hashtag OJCM stuff,
Yeah.
and they can relate to those vehicles that are in other countries as well. I mean, randomly I'll get emails or messages through Instagram or Facebook. Hey, we're wondering if we can get a sticker. So yeah, obviously made some stickers, and our stickers have been plastered all over the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Australia, South Africa, Iceland, Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, parts of Europe. Random people just they love what we do and with the car meets, and they're like, man, well, I wish we could do that here, but there's not enough cars
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
type of the Japanese classics. But I have this. Okay.
I mean, I see the sticker all over
Yeah.
California, Northern and Southern California,
Yeah.
just seeing around. I'm like, wow, this is
Yeah,
huge. And then everybody that I know, even at Seven Stock or even the VMJU guys, right? They all have been to your meet or support your meet.
Yeah,
or
like
whatever.
Savant. Savant is one of the ones who originally started to come to our meet. His is more of a club, but his is honed down to the pre-smog vehicles, which is they're still classics. They're still part of our same group. So they're kind of like our sister group.
Yeah.
And anytime they have events and stuff, we know about it. They support us too, and the boys as well.
Nice.
But it's such a small car community. Even though it's so small, it's huge, because we even with VJMU they have a big following with the Australian side as well. So I mean, and it's not just about the club or the group. It's the culture itself. With the classic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keeping it moving, keeping it alive.
Yeah.
Because most people say, "Oh, well, my car is not a show car." Well, you don't have to have a show car.
Yeah.
It could be just like that 620 pickup. You make it your own.
Your own, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's those personal touches that you add. That's what makes the car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's where kind of like people will ask, oh well, what do I need to be part of this group? I go, you just need a Japanese classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if you wash it. I don't care if it has, different colored
rims.
fenders.
Yeah.
As long as you share that same passion that we do.
Well, it's like the same
know?
thing that going to your meet, the qualification is you need a Japanese classic, right? Whether it's a $500 car or $500,000 car.
care.
And the same thing with the Hot Wheels. You just need to start with a Hot Wheel car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
it kind of ties in with
and it makes it easy or more attainable for more people to enjoy it
And
together.
that was the thing too, that it kind of separates from the slot car world or whatever, and and it's more comparable to the Pine Derby race car because it's the same concept, same concept,
right?
Except Pine Derby, it takes weeks to build and paint and do that. You can still do the same thing with a Hot Wheel, and I believe it's even harder to do it on a Hot Wheel because it requires more skills, more more hands-on and working on smaller. So you can relate to the Pine Derby style, but with metal cars, and it's the same thing. It's down a hill or down the slope, because it's gravity fed. So it is. You don't have to necessarily be part of the Boy Scouts to race on our track. Where most Pine Derbies, it was either a club or you had to be some sort of a type of organization that hosts those type of events. And then those tracks were actually more a fixed track, or not as practical as ours. So that's another thing too, that ours is so practical. We can pretty much take it anywhere. We've taken it to the weirdest places too, and even in Vegas, we set it up by the Las Vegas welcome sign. We set it up there.
That's cool.
Really?
Yeah, it was Supers in Vegas. What was it, 2021, I think, or 2022?
Really? Yeah.
Supers in Vegas. They wanted us to bring it. My friend Javier Parada, he said, "Hey, you guys want to come out? Yeah, come out. We'll come out." And we made it a thing. We came out there and we say, "You know what we're gonna do? We're going to set up the track at the fabulous Las Vegas welcome sign." And they're like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
We're going to park, we're going to offload it, and we're not going to set up the table. We're going to load it and set it up right there on the turf with the background. So we actually have an iconic photo of that with a bunch of Supras, because that was the whole theme was Supras in Vegas.
That's cool.
It's Supras invade Vegas. That's what.
Very cool.
Oh, dude, we got to have you guys at Seven Stock, man. All rotary event. Oh, they will finish. They will finish.
You will see.
Most of them.
And
put it out there so the organizers can actually.
If Burn's
see it.
watching, I'm gonna tell Burn, dude, we got to get them at Seven Stock, man. Because now they're at Irwindale, and now they have drag racing. And now it turned out to be a big deal. The first time we did it at Irwindale, and everybody's watching the drag racing. Doesn't matter. It was like Rotary versus the world kind of thing,
right?
So why would they not want to do this?
Right.
Now everybody can race at Seven Stock.
Yeah, and that's another thing you bring up a good point, because everybody can race on the track, on our track, not necessarily the real track.
Exactly.
People go at spectate and all that, but
absolutely.
But even if they're not there to spectate, or they're just there with a buddy or whatever, they see our racetrack, they can still reminisce and, hey, I used to play with these Hot Wheels.
Exactly.
They, some of the times they just admire their setup and the diorama style parking lot and the street signs.
The details.
Yeah, all the little details of the palm trees, because we're in Southern California. So all the little touches, people are like, wow.
No, I mean you didn't miss a beat on the details, like even from the uniform, the logo, the branding, right? And one thing that's pretty cool is that you have a sponsorship wall where on the track, when people pay, you could have your logo plays with a little decal of like the different companies that are.
Those were we ran out of the real estate on those really quick, because when people saw what we were doing, automatically they're like, "Oh, can we put our sticker there?" Well, that's a sponsorship wall.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how much does it cost? $20. You go.
It's affordable. See,
everything's to scale.
Everything's to scale.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, "That's it, $20." Well, it's to scale. But, if you really, if it was for real, it'd probably
20,000.
be like, 20,000.
Yeah. And I know 1/64 scale,
right?
And
with this great project that you guys built, you definitely met a lot of people, because I've heard through the episode and the interview, you've been shouting out a lot of cool key people. But what I noticed is the details on both of your jackets that I see signatures on.
Oh yeah.
Can you expound on that?
Those people? So what do you call it? One of them's Maya Arito. She's a lady drifter, as well as Nanami, Hannah, and Arisa. We met them at the Fujiwara Tofu Cafe.
Oh, nice.
They were hosting a big meet. It was Monday night. They were signing for their fans. They drift cars in Japan. Like Nanami has a Mark IV Supra.
Is that her the daughter of Orito or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's his daughter?
Yeah.
Dang.
So they actually got to meet her, and then when we were there, we didn't really have anything. We saw people bringing, memorabilia, posters and stuff to sign, And I just told them, hey, why don't you guys have her sign your jackets?
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and
perfect.
Hey.
I see a big heart on there too. Is that her?
Yeah. That was Maya.
So the cool thing is that that day we were set up there. We had the track set up, so obviously they had their track suits.
Oh,
because normally they wear a race track suit.
Yeah.
That's part of the theme, you know.
The
and they have their
fireproof racing suit.
yeah.
Oh, really? Simpson?
So since this was a night event, they just happened to have their jackets with their
that's
suits, so
cool.
we're like perfect opportunity for them to get signed, you know.
Oh, she signed both of your guys' jackets.
Yeah.
Oh, you both got hearts too.
Right.
Yeah.
Who are the other people?
And we got photos with them too.
That's
so,
awesome.
Oh.
Who are the other people?
Oh well. What do you call it?
Those
That's
are-
why it's Maya, Nanami, Hannah, and Arisa.
Oh, nice.
And I were they at the same event or two separate events?
3 of them were. Nanami had her own event.
Yeah, that we happened to have the jacket on another event too. That's when
Oh, that's
got
cool.
That's cool.
That is cool.
But what's cool also about the track is, you know, when people see it and they're like, hey man, can you send us a video of because they can't be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I said, no, just follow us and catch us on the next one, or we might be near your town. You know?
Yeah.
But reason why is like I don't want people to, because people even say, hey, you guys should start your own YouTube video, kind of like, you know, these YouTubers. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but maybe they get some revenue and stuff. We're not trying to do it for that reason. It's more for the live experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though those YouTubers are very successful and they have great commentaries and they're a blast to listen to, you're essentially just watching cars race.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the full experience. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, with us, you can see like some of the videos we shot or, you know, we shared, you know,
Yeah.
the reaction of people.
Yeah.
That
The kid.
that is priceless.
The kid standing right there 2 feet from the track, put his car on the track to race, and he races his car, and he's like, "That's mine.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
raced
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I won.
I won."
Not
Yeah.
only that, and if he or she places, I mean the look on their face is priceless.
I bet.
You cannot replicate that on
Yeah,
YouTube.
no, totally.
Well, I saw the photo with it was the girl with the trophy.
Tiny
I
trophy.
think
Yeah.
is one of the photos
yeah.
you guys shared with us. And
Yeah,
he
so
looked so
and,
happy.
and you know, believe it or not, and some events, I remember this one in particular. We were at the Petersen. The Petersen actually allowed us to set up there.
Oh, really?
Shout out to the Petersen as well.
Yeah, because I mean, Petersen, as you know, they kind of have a tight circle.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to just allow anybody just to
Yeah.
set up. And obviously, they saw what we did and what
That's huge.
the professional look that they have with their suits and their track and all
Yeah.
that. There's nobody out there doing this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you guys are making it easier for everybody because you bring the track to their area, their
Yeah,
neighborhood,
exactly. Yeah, that's
which
a-
is making it more
it's a
accessible.
pop-up, yeah.
So, and I think obviously that ties into what we believe here at West of Tulsa is being hands-on, living the moment, and working technically with your hands. You're not doing this on an iPhone. This is not
Right.
a digital experience. This is an analog experience, and I think that's what.
And it's live.
And it's everything that's in this house. I mean, you guys
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
in this
Oh, yeah.
museum the collection of die-cast cars. So, like, you know, I think Richard would definitely approve.
Oh, he would.
of-
Oh, yeah.
He would race.
He would
And I bet you even had his own Hot Wheels.
Oh, I'm
somewhere.
sure.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure,
he
of
did.
that.
Yeah.
And speaking about the Hot Wheels, I just noticed right now these two
Oh, yeah.
cars that are on your chair. So like you have a 8.6 there,
Yep.
and I don't know what the other car is. Is there a significance?
It's just my pocket ride for today.
Yeah.
Pocket ride.
Pocket right.
Yeah, we're gonna do a pocket check on all you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
I got a repo truck. I got
No,
a.
you guys got one.
Yeah, I know exactly.
It's just not in your pocket right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Well, he always tells me every time he gives me a Hot Wheels, like, don't open it. I'm like,
Well,
what?
certain
don't
ones.
open
Where's
it.
the fun in
certain
that?
ones?
Where's the fun
Well,
in that?
exactly.
See,
Come on.
you're gonna. It's like why you have a car you don't drive.
Okay, time out. I have one theory. If you're a collector, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yeah.
different type of
Yeah,
collectors,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But a true collector, I always tell the boys and other
Yeah,
people.
Yeah, I'm always constantly telling the people this too. What I usually end up doing is I end up buying like 4 of each car.
Got it.
I have one to open, one to keep, one to customize, and then one to sell.
Wow.
That's
I
a
wish I
plan.
could do that in
I like
the
that.
big scale.
So we
like
really,
that.
if you really
like
think about it, we're not really that type of collector.
no.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
no.
Exactly.
I would go broke.
Hey, oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So but there are collectors out there that they'll buy, you know,
Multiple-
the
yeah.
same casting 4 or 5 times.
And when you say it's your what was it titled Pocket?
My pocket ride.
Yeah, Pocket Ride. So does that rotate every day?
Yeah.
Weekly? Wow. In the
since
mood.
Since I have such a big collection of cars, I have a big display case on my wall, and like whichever one I want to take today, like I just want to take this car with me today. And
I mean, what is that? What is that decision that makes you pick that particular car?
I don't know.
Just the mood, your mood, and
Food, yeah.
It's like you're wearing a watch, a different watch every day,
So cool.
or a pen, or
exactly.
you do pocket dump. Don't let me dump out my pockets right now.
everyday carry.
Every day.
Yeah.
EDC.
Your
card.
EDC. It basically is part of your EDC. You know, which
I love it.
most of the EDC guys or people that are into that, they're adults.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
But this kind of it kind of encourages kids to start the EDC.
Absolutely.
They don't realize
So
that this
cool.
is their
Yeah,
EDC.
for sure.
Like when they were little, they always had.
I always
had
never left home without my Hot Wheels.
Yeah, they always had one in their
Really?
hand, no matter what, and then they also had pockets. And that's one thing I tell kids, like when they come to these, events. I say, "Hey, you ready to race?" I go, "Yeah, I'm ready to race." "Okay, where's your car?" "Oh, can I pick one of those?" "No, those are ours."
Where's
You need
where's
your-
your car? You got to bring your.
And they're, "Oh, well,
Have it
I
with
didn't
you at
bring
all
one."
times.
And then I make it a point. It says, "Dad, you brought your son to a car show without their car?
wow.
How many pockets do you have?" "Oh, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 cars. One car in each
That
pocket
is
at
so
least.
cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's a good
But,
point.
Yeah, but going back to that one incident we had at the Petersen I was
Oh
mentioning.
yeah.
There was the first place winner at that particular event at the Petersen. This kid bust out into tears of joy.
Wow.
That's what made it. I was like, this is why we don't do it on YouTube,
Yeah.
That's cool.
because you're not gonna see that.
That's good, man. I
Really?
like
You know,
that.
this was that kid's first trophy, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
First trophy ever for anything.
Yeah.
You know, like an actual trophy he's holding, and
Yeah.
and his car is on the podium as first place.
Yeah. And you can only
You know?
earn it by showing up.
Yeah, and that's why we do teasers, like some of the clips I sent you. Those are teasers that we'll post on for the next race or whatever.
Yeah.
To kind of encourage people. Well, how does it work? How is it? And sure enough, when they come and they sign up, well, how does it work? Oh, well, you got to come back at this time because this is when we have our driver's meeting. Make sure you have your helmet.
Really?
Stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
cool.
so what do you mean? I was like, no, I'm just kidding about the helmet.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things that I want them to be exposed to. Like, wow,
Yeah.
they have a driver's meeting?
Yeah.
It's like the real thing.
That's so
And Sebastian goes over the details and the rules and what disqualifies or not. I mean, he can talk more about that, and even as far as the commentator. He's a commentator.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm kind of the officiator for all the races.
Yeah.
So I put the cars on the top, and then I press the button, send them down, and I call out everything that's happening. Sometimes it's kind of just like, yep, that car has the lead, and he's got the lead the whole time. But then sometimes it's like, this one has the lead in the first corner, but then around the second corner, this one takes the lead, and then
Very intense.
And then once it gets on the straightaway, it's like,
they get to the final corner. This car has the lead, but then on the straightaway, the other one takes the
That's
lead
tight.
on the straightaway. And it's like,
So cool.
oh my god!
and the amazing thing is that Sebastian has honed it down so good, where I don't think, and I challenge people to try to replicate what he does, because it is a commitment and dedication, because I don't know how he does it, because he has to know each car. And mind you, when people are signing up, sometimes Sebastian, what car is this? And just by glancing, oh, it's this. So we put it. I put it on there. Sometimes I don't have my reading glasses. I was like, can't read that. So. but
I know that problem.
But it's so the comments when he's doing the announcements and all that. It's so precise where he doesn't have time to rehearse.
Yeah,
This is
I call it
on the fly.
I call it as it happens.
as it's happening.
Well, the races
That's a
last
skill.
like
That's a
8 seconds, don't
that's
they?
a
I mean,
skill.
Yeah.
is that like 8 seconds?
It's
No,
it depends. For the straightaway, the quarter mile, that usually lasts around 2.5 seconds for like a pretty average fast time. For the tollgate course, it usually lasts around 5 to 8 seconds actually.
Yeah, it all depends, because some cars are slower than others.
yeah.
So from start to finish, it can sometimes drag on to about 8 seconds. But the cool part is that, where, they're signing up, and if we're doing the tollgate course, it's 5 lanes. So the maximum capacity of participants who are racing their cars is 25. That means we have 5 heats.
Oh, I see.
So imagine that. He has to he's got it in his head. he has to memorize each make and type of car it is,
Amazing.
and call it out as it's happening for each heat.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for each heat, for each each round, because each heat can actually drag on to almost.
Sometimes they take longer because sometimes it'll be a shutout where one car like wins 3, it completely destroys the rest, and he gets 3 points and he moves on to the final round. That's it. But sometimes this one wins one, but then in the next round, another car comes in from the other side and takes him. So now we're 1-1, and then they keep going. This one has 2. Oh, but now this one's got 2. Oh, and then but then these two have 2. These two have 2.
Then,
but then here comes another one, and that one scores a point. So now we got to keep going.
So before you know it, 4 out of the 5 all have 2 points. So it gets very intense towards the end, because now it's like, what's going to happen to the 5th car? Is the 5th car going to score? Now we're going to have all ties.
Yeah.
So it can drag on. Each heat can drag on. So that's why I commend him, because he has put so much effort and dedication to it. Where he has to, like, there's no rehearsal. There's no let me see how this is gonna sound. It's like on the fly as it's happening, and it's live, just like the real deal. You go to the races, it's like, all right, here comes this V8, Chevette and this Ford Pinto, and it's like, those are just 2 cars.
Yeah,
we're talking about multiple lanes here.
Yeah.
So you have to be like, you have to have the eye and know your turns and all that, so you can actually say what's happening.
Yeah.
So even if you're not watching, people can listen.
Yeah.
But it just makes it more intense when you're there watching and listening to the comments, because it brings up the intensity level even much higher than just ready, set, go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Hey, Helm, I'm sorry. There's a story you're telling me about before we started that we want to get to. It has to do with a vehicle that you owned in the past that has some history here.
Oh yeah, it's my 2004 Mitsubishi Lancer Rally Art Sportback wagon, and I remember bringing that to the OJCM meet,
To the car meet, yeah.
and you guys were riding. I guess your group of guys riding the bike, and you saw that car. And you definitely have seen one in person, and you definitely gave the love when I pulled up. But I didn't know that Dorian, he was still a little kid, and you always had affinity for that wagon.
Well, the first time I had ever like truly seen it was like, I think it was junior year.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Junior year.
and backstory is that my niece Laurel, she graduated from John Burroughs, and same school. Shout out to Mr. Piper.
Oh yeah,
my brother-in-law has been a teacher over there for 20 plus years, but I let her use it before she bought her new car, and they were going to get rid of it, and I said, the perfect person was Frank, because she told me that you had hit her up and asked her, like, are you going to ever sell it? And she was kind of like rude at first, like, no, I'm not selling it,
When he first told me the story, I'm thinking back, man, if I was in her shoes, it's like, who's this weirdo just waiting around by my car just to come in, hey, excuse me. And she's probably thinking, "Oh, this guy's gonna ask for my number." But no, you want to sell your car,
And so when I found out that you were inquiring about it, I said, "No, that's the perfect person to let the car go to." And I'm so happy that you bought it. And what's great about it is that you use your guys' hard-earned money from your guys' business for it.
That's cool.
And I heard some stories. I can't wait to see it. But I heard something about a hood that was picked up.
Well, don't give it away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, wait, that'll be another story when you guys are finished
But
with it.
hey, talk about hard-earned money in business. Because we haven't mentioned it yet. Can you plug the business so people can find you guys?
That's right.
Social?
So we are HW Racetrack. It's spelled exactly how it sounds like it is. Sound exactly like it sounds like it is. Here it is on my shirt. My hand's blocking the way. HW Racetrack.
there it is.
HW Racetrack
Our
on
Instagram.
Instagram.
We don't have a Facebook set up because we wanted to keep it simple too.
Yeah.
And most people, they most people that follow us, they have Instagram. So we just said, you know what, just create an Instagram name.
So if people want to book you or whatever, they just do it all through Instagram and contact you.
Yeah, on our Instagram, it'll list the our email address, which is also hwracetrack@gmail.com.
Okay.
And sometimes, it'll be just a random question. Hey, do you guys do parties? And then from there, we kind of, what kind of party is it? So, sometimes even we've had people do open houses for new business, something that has nothing to do with cars, but they realize that this brings people together no matter what.
Yeah.
Like a friend of ours who, shout out to him, Lots of Pets, Harry. He has his online store, and he had a satellite store in Pasadena, and one day he saw what we were doing. He said, "Hey, can you guys bring the track?" I was like, "Sure, it's a pet store." We're like, "Sure, why not?"
Yeah.
We set it up right in front of his storefront, a grand opening.
That's cool.
Even Casey Montoya from Channel 5, she actually came and checked it out. And
Really?
she actually participated in one of the races too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, So we got video of that too as well.
That's
But
cool.
it is something that, like I said, no matter what you can think of, you can always bring
Bring it in.
Yeah.
and people will always even admire just because it's miniature,
Exactly.
and it's so practical too. Because
What I see in our future, I think there's going to be a sanctioned West of Tulsa race with all the crew members.
Anything I do,
we're gonna-
race
Oh,
you
I-
guys.
oh, absolutely.
Definitely have to do that.
And a huge thank you to you guys for gifting us these amazing carts, which we'll post up and show each other's.
You're gonna build my car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
go.
beat all these fools.
it's gonna
And
cost.
I
It's
better
gonna
win.
cost you.
It always costs something, so I'm willing to pay. It's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
And build you an RX-7.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys coming on. It's
Thank you.
No, yeah, thank,
Really
thank
is-
you so
Thank
much
you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
and it's really fun what you guys are doing. So we're going to keep an eye on that,
Yeah.
and we are going to race, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Make sure my pockets are full when I show up.
Bring your cash.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to kick his ass.
Yeah.
Nah.
He's the customized.
I got the hookup.
Yeah. All right. Frank, Sebastian,
Dorian.
thank you again for coming in. And
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you for having us.
all right.
you.
And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You also go to our tip line page. We have our YouTube
Channel.
Thank you. And the tip line, if you go there, fill that out. We'd love to have you in studio. I'm sure you have a great story. All right. We'll see you west of Tulsa.